Welcome to this special edition of Consciousness Raising Online. I'd like you to do me a favor. I want you to take a few minutes to pay honor to some extraordinary Black women by watching the following, and then afterwards share it at least with one person. The story of these Black women is so phenomenal. I'm moved every time I even think about them. And I would hope that maybe one person who gets to see this and ask your family members, your grandmothers, your great aunts, whoever, about them, and find out that maybe you're related to one of these extraordinary Black women. So here is their story. And it's amazing. And at the end, of course, I'll close with no justice, no peace, no love, KNOW. I want you to watch this.
A new mail delivery system was needed, and it would be managed by a new unit, fresh from the States, and ready to prove themselves up to the task. On February 3rd, 1945, the first group of women from the 6888th Central Postal Directory Battalion shipped out from New York. The 6888 was the first Army unit of its kind, consisting entirely of African American women. It was under the command of Major Charity Adams, the first Black woman to earn a commission in what would become the Women's Army Corps. Arriving in Birmingham, the women of the 6888 were met with unheated warehouses stacked to the ceiling with letters and packages. Immediately, they got to work, splitting into shifts and working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They tracked the locations of millions of troops and had the solemn duty of returning mail addressed to service members who had died. All the while, the stacks of undelivered mail began to shrink as the 6888 adopted the motto, "No mail, low morale." And yet they still found themselves having to prove their worth to their fellow Americans. During an inspection by an Army general, Major Adams was chastised for not having all her troops present. She explained that the women worked in shifts and that she was following orders as she was given but was cut off. The general threatened to send a white officer to show her how to command the unit. "Over my dead body, sir," she replied. Major Adams remained commander of the 6888, clearing the 6-month backlog of mail in less than half that time. Their mission in England complete, the 6888 transferred to France in June 1945, where they faced a similar stockpile. Once again, it was cleared in half the time expected. While in France, the 6888 felt the same loss as so many American units during the war, as 3 women, PFC Mary Barlow, PFC Mary Bankston, and Sergeant Dolores Brown, were killed in a Jeep accident. They would be buried with honors alongside their brothers in arms at the Normandy American Cemetery. Charity Adams would be promoted to Lieutenant Colonel, the highest ranking African American woman in the Army at the time. The remainder of the 6888 would return home to a still segregated country in February 1946 and be disbanded without further ceremony. 855 women served with the 6888 during World War II. They were the only battalion of all African American women to serve abroad during the war. The example they set proved an education for a great many, opening the door for generations of servicewomen since.
Now, I want to deal a little bit more in terms of what you just saw, because it went so fast, but there were some things we need to, I think, focus on. Because again, we're talking about phenomenal Black people. They were called the 6888, and it was the first all Black female unit. Okay? Now, understand the seriousness of this. You had something like 7 million, I think 7 million Americans over in Europe during World War II. And the mail was terrible. Think about how important mail is, right? So they created this unit called the 888. They gave them some training, and then they sent them first over to Birmingham, England, or Birmingham. Birmingham is how they would say it. And yeah, that's where Birmingham, Alabama got their name. They got over there and they find these warehouses stacked to the ceiling with letters and packages. I want you to understand what they went through. These buildings were unheated and dimly lit. The windows were blacked out to prevent light showing during nighttime air raids. Rats were in there going into the packages of soiled cakes and cookies. And now it was a cold winter, and these women wore long johns and extra layers of clothing under their coats while working in these warehouses. They were organized into 3 separate 8-hour shifts, so work continued around the clock 7 days a week. Oh, I mean, this is unbelievable. They tracked individual service members by maintaining about 7 million information cards, including serial numbers, to distinguish different individuals with the same name. They dealt with, quote, undeliverable mail, which was sent to their location for redirection. They investigated insufficiently addressed mail for clues to determine the intended recipient, and they handled the sad duty of returning mail addressed to service members who had died. Now, think about this. I mean, when you think about this, this is amazing, okay? Now, initially, they were the subject of a great deal of curiosity from the local citizens of Birmingham. They used to come and watch them work, okay? Now, over time, they did make friends with in the local community, and they found the locals to be polite and friendly, and in some cases, they were welcomed in British public spaces and sometimes got invited to some private homes for tea. They were quartered, they were staying in the old King Edward School. That's the enlisted women, and officers were quartered in 2 houses. Neither one of these facilities were warm during the winter. The quarters, the mess hall, and the military recreational facilities were segregated by race and gender. And male African American soldiers, along with white servicemen and servicewomen, had been allowed in a local club for enlisted American military personnel run by the American Red Cross. But ain't this deep? Neither this club nor the American Red Cross Hotel set up for WACS, Women's Air Corps in London, welcomed the black women. So the women of the 6888 ran their own mess hall, hair salon, refreshment bar, and other recreational facilities. And they had to deal with food rationing with daily portions of Spam. Ah! Now, dig this. Once they finished dealing with this backlog in Birmingham, which they finished in half the time it was expected, now they transferred them, and it was called the 6888 Central Postage Directory Battalion. Now they sent them to France, June 9th of 1945, shortly after VE Day. Now, they got there to Le Havre, I think it is, Le Havre. It's second word, Havre, so I think it's Le Havre, where they were shocked to find a city left in ruins by the Nazis. And then they traveled by train to Rouen, where they where they participated in a victory parade, actually passed the spot where Joan of Arc had been executed. Now, they were put up in an old French barracks within a walled campaign. Now, dig this too. The arrival of a significant number of American women attracted the attention of both white and black U.S. servicemen who suddenly found that they had business unrolling. And so they had to step up security efforts to keep unauthorized personnel out of the 6th AAA's compound. Okay. Now, even though the unit's WAC military police were denied firearms, they trained in jujitsu, and that proved very effective in keeping out unwanted visitors. In other words, they had all these black women over there, and even though they had white women over there, they weren't as attractive to the soldiers as these black women. Okay, so you know how that worked. They was being hated on. Now, over there in France, they found the same situation. Mail stacked up, a 6-month backlog, millions of pieces of mail. And again, they did the same thing. They sorted that mail and got it out of there in half the time that was expected, because they sent some back first, and then the rest was sent back to the United States. And then they disbanded them at Fort Dix, New Jersey, without any further ceremony. There was no parades, no public appreciation, no official recognition of their accomplishments, although Charity Adams did get promoted to lieutenant colonel, making her the highest ranking black woman in the military. Okay. Now, with the exception, they had some smaller units of black nurses who served in Africa, Australia, and England, but the 6th AAA Central Postal Directory Battalion was the only all-black women's unit to serve overseas during World War II. There's Charity Adams. She was bad. She was bad. Now, here's something I found. Actually, I found this back a while ago, but I didn't know the significance of it until I started doing the research on the 6th AAA. This is a photo of the women, one of the units of the WACs, the postal unit. And this is at Comiskey Park in Chicago. The woman who is dead center, who is the leader of this unit, her name is Marva Lewis. She was Joe Lewis's wife, the boxer, the heavyweight champion boxer, Joe Lewis. She's his wife. And I never knew she had been part of that unit. So that's very powerful piece of history there that, again, we did not know. Okay. Now, there is one marker that I do want to highlight, because this is in not sure where this is, but it is a marker that's dedicated to the 6th AAA. The thing that bothers me, though, is that they cut her off at the waist and cut off her arms, or didn't give her any arms. It's like so weird. Isn't that weird looking? I think they deserve much more, but I would not forgive them for not giving them official recognition when they came home. And again, that's the 6th AAA. I like saying that. So we need to recognize the 6th AAA, the postal battalion, And what they did was nothing short of phenomenal. And these are women, black women, who are some of our own. This is World War II. So some of them are, they're our mothers, our aunts, our cousins, our grandmothers. And I'm almost afraid to say that we would be shocked to find out, if we asked our family members if they know anything about the 6888, and we find out that we have relatives who are part of that and probably never got any recognition even from their families, because like I'm saying, they did phenomenal. I'm going to close out now, and I'm going to show a short video just to appreciate them, because as I did the research both on the 369th Harlem Hellfighters and on the 6888, I just was filled with a sense of pride, and I wanted to give them some praise and some glory so that we can appreciate the sacrifices our parents and grandparents and great grandparents made in service of this country. So when there's people that say, well, we don't, we shouldn't, be trying to do anything. No, our parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, they sacrificed for this country, and this country owes them and us that debt. And I refuse to throw away their debt, because we are the ones who are supposed to collect on that. We are the ones who are owed the reparations that they fought for and died for. Okay? So anyway, I just wanted to leave you with that, and just allow yourself for the next minute or so as we close out with this special video to appreciate our people. And as always, I'll close. I say, no justice, no peace, no love. KNOW.
Thank you.